Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. So glad you're here. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Y'all know our show. You remember, Eye on the Valley. We are brought to you by SCVi and iLead Schools, a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school. We've got an amazing home study program. You're going to hear a lot more about that a little bit later on. It's called iLead Exploration. For information on any of our schools, kids are different and, they all learn differently, so they all need a different educational format. So whether what your kid needs is online or a home study program or a classroom, 8:30 to 3 program or a hybrid, whatever you need, we have got it. Visit us at iLeadschools.org for more information. That's iLeadschools.org. There you're going to find a link to all of our schools and just peruse. You know what? You've got a couple hours to do that. Why don't you just kick back and check out our schools and enjoy some great radio here. So yeah, we keep our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation as well. But like the show says, we also like to keep our eye on the Valley, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the Valley. And we also try to put that grin back on your face. I know it's early, but hey, it's Friday. It is Good Friday. And you know what? I think most Fridays are Good Fridays. Fridays are awesome. So yeah, we're gonna slide into the weekend with a smile and a great show. Oh man, oh man, oh man. You know, eh, Good Friday is a wonderful thing, but when Good Friday coincides with great sports, it's a great Friday. If you listen to the show with any regularity, you know that I'm a sports fan. And if you thought I was fired up about March Madness last week, man, yesterday we got opening day for Major League Baseball across the country. The boys of summer are back. Although we had a few rainouts on opening day, that kind of stinks. But yeah, baseball is in full swing, and the Dodgers, just picked up right where they left off last regular season. We've also got the start to the Sweet 16 round of the men's college basketball tournament, and today we get the women's Sweet 16 kicking in, and the women's tournament is hotter than ever. Better action, better matchups, better personalities than the men's tournament, and they're getting way better ratings than ever before. In fact, some are saying that they are head and shoulders above the men this year in just about every aspect. So I say it over and over again, but this really is my favorite time of year. And, it's also the time of year that college acceptances come rolling in. And we're going to be talking a little bit about it in just a minute. On today's episode of Eye on the Valley, we've got college advisor extraordinaire, Laura Kazan. Laura is one of my favorite people in our organization, and she's just got tremendous passion to get kids in to the perfect college for them. And she's with iLead Exploration. That's our home study program I was talking about a second ago. She's got some exciting announcements for us. And then in hour number 2, we're going to meet Gina Roberson. Gina is the city librarian with the city of Santa Clarita. Yeah, we had some turnover there at the library. You may remember, if you've been listening for a while, one of our show's besties, Shannon Vonnegut, moved on, and Gina stepped in, and she's taken the wheel there at the Santa Clarita Library. When I say Santa Clarita Library, when I say City of Santa Clarita Libraries, if the only thing that you think about is books, you have not been to the library lately. And even if you have been to the library, you might not be aware of everything that they've got going on over there. So we'll talk all about that a little bit later on in the show, and you can find out, what they've got for you. Because yeah, they've got something for everybody. They've got multiple somethings for everybody there at the library. And yes, Big T will be here at the end of the show like he always is. I know I like to complain about my big brother a little bit, but his segment is always lots of fun. In fact, so much fun it gets mom out of bed to listen. That's right. Yeah, she doesn't listen to the other hour and
No,
45 minutes of the show.
I was just going to say,
But
clearly she's showing her favorite.
yeah, absolutely. I said, Mom, you're retired. What are you so busy doing that you can't listen to the show? And she says, well, I'm busy reading the paper and having coffee.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Mom.
certainly
Yeah.
can't listen to the radio while you're reading the paper and having coffee.
She's
Alrighty, so
suddenly awake at
right,
9:45 and
exactly.
able
That's
to
that's
function
when
and
that
focus.
that
Yeah.
second cup kicks in. And
Right.
speaking of second cups, have you poured yours yet? I'm still working on my first, but so yeah, go ahead and pour yourself that second cup or first if you're just getting out of bed, and let's slide into the weekend together. All right. Like I said, my first guest today is the college advisor with iLead Exploration. That's iLead's homeschool division, and I get myself in trouble all the time calling it homeschool. It's technically not homeschool, but that's what most of our families think it is. We'll talk to Laura in just a second about why it's not. But Laura Kazan hails from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I believe she got her hot air balloon license when she was 12 years old. No, that's actually not true. Um, she started her career in education, however, the same way all educators get their start, as an English teacher in Istanbul, right? Yeah, well, maybe a unique start. We'll ask her about that. She herself is a parent who homeschooled her own amazing son. She is passionate about providing access to all students and is fulfilled by providing college access points to homeschooling families specifically. Laura, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Hi, thanks. I'm glad to be back.
All right. We love chatting with you because you're doing some amazing things in an area that, there's some myths around. And iLead Exploration is just really breaking the mold when it comes to high quality independent study is what we are technically supposed to call it. So Laura, let's start out by talking a little bit about you. I mentioned that you started your career in teaching in Turkey. So tell us how you became an educator.
So, like you said, I started my teaching career or and officially in education in Istanbul, Turkey, because I followed a boy who later
Ah.
turned out to be my husband, and I needed a job. And English teachers were what you do when you go abroad, and I really loved it. So, that's kind of how I started.
Okay, and so how long did you teach there? How did you make your way back to the States? And what eventually drew you to work with iLead?
So I was only there about 2 years because suddenly we were going to have a baby, and we came back to the United States to have my first son. So my teaching was cut short, and I became a stay-at-home mom for quite a while. I ended up at iLead. It's funny story about iLead. I ended up getting my graduate degree in education with specialty in higher education and access and things like that. And I spent a lot of time on social media trying to decipher all these homeschool and charter school kind of differences. And I was very loud. And iLead came and found me. And they said, "Hey, are you really enjoying what you're doing, or you think you might want to do it for our school?" And I said, "Yeah, that's a no-brainer for me." So I went straight to iLead. I had a couple bites from other charters, but iLead, just the quality, it was immediate. As soon as the director came out and asked, I'm like, yeah, no question.
And it really was our win, and whoever it was that went and fished you out, that was just a great move on their part. You really do you've got an amazing social media presence. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend who sends her kids to the local district school, when she found out that I worked at iLead a while back, she says, "Oh wow, I hear you guys have a great homeschool program. As a matter of fact, did you know?" She says this to me. "Did you know you guys have an amazing college counselor in your homeschool program?" I said, "Yes, yes, I know Laura well." So talk to us a little bit about your role with iLead Exploration as the college advisor. What is it that you do? And what are well, we'll talk a little bit more in a second about the results you're getting. So, what's your role at iLead Exploration?
So I'm part of a really strong four-person team. That's two counselors, and they do the academic, and our coordinator, who is kind of overseeing the whole high school, and myself. And so I can't really say that it's me. I would say that it is being a member of this team we kind of all think alike in terms of how to work with learners and to get them college and career ready and to get them on their way to post-secondary education. Um, and you gave me a lot of questions at once, and my brain immediately forgets the first two when you give me the three. So ask me the questions again.
Okay, so tell us about your role. What do you do for a living, Laura?
What do I do? I send kids to college. That's what I do for a living. And when people ask me, that's what I say, because I spend my whole time trying to find the kids, to let them know that they can go, that they can afford it, that they are good enough. And then I help them apply, and then I help them figure out their financial aid, and then I send them on their way and say, have a great time at our graduation. So yeah, that's
There you
what I
go.
do.
But your approach is a little bit different because you don't hit them with the, kind of the big four, right? It's you don't sit down and meet with your kids and say, all right, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Harvard, to UCLA, to San Diego State, or to CSUN? Like you don't talk a little bit about your approach to college advising.
So that was the big four: Harvard,
I don't know.
UCLA.
I'm still only halfway through this coffee.
That's really weird. No, I mean, like, you have to match the kid to where they're going to fit and what their interests are. That's actually part of it, is the whole discovery of what a student wants, where they're going to be comfortable, the kind of experience they want to have. And then to make sure that they know that there's lots and lots and lots, like 3,000 choices for them. And it's not just an academic fit. It needs to be a social fit, and it needs to be a financial fit, because not all families are the same. And colleges do financing in very interesting and mysterious ways. So you could take one student and send them to college A, and they're going to pay $4,000. And you could take another student and send them to college A, and they're going to pay full price, $90,000. And it's important to understand the nuances of that as well. So I am a full service advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand that recently I've heard a lot of your different staff members or your directors really excited about some of the students that have found that perfect fit school and are getting really fired up about college. But before we get into that, Laura, I want to talk a little bit more about the program in general. So uh, obviously the fact that we're even talking about high school and great college counseling, great college advising in a home study program is unique, right? Because I've discovered that just by fielding questions from parents. One of the first questions they ask is, "Do you have high school?" Well, gosh, doesn't everybody? No, apparently is. But I'm answering the question I'm about to ask you already. Laura, what makes iLead exploration different than, say, a typical independent study? And what makes exploration different than what truly is homeschool when families file a PSA to school their kids on their own at home?
You got to ask me one question at a
All
time,
right,
because I'm going to
so
forget one.
let's start here.
The first one is what makes iLead different from other independent study schools. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so there's a lot of charters out there that have an independent study program. How are we different? How are we unique?
I'd like to say that we're different because of our high school team. Our high school is growing by leaps and bounds. We're grabbing people from other charter schools, not on purpose. They're just finding us through word of mouth and switching and coming over. I think it's our kind of dedication to creating a college going environment. I know that sounds kind of weird for an independent study school, because we don't have a brick and mortar, so we're not putting like flags up on the wall.
Right.
But we are. When we work with our learners, we are always thinking high for them, even if they're not thinking high for themselves. When I say high, I mean academic possibilities that are out there. And we're not going to push any learner to college if that's not what they want to do. I also do career stuff as well. So I can talk to any learner about any situation. But we always try to introduce the possibility, even if a learner hasn't considered it themselves, especially to our first generation students, meaning neither parent has gone to college, our low income students. And I think that's one of the things that makes us unique as well. We're not immediately trying to send everybody to community college. We let students know that they can do it. They can reach high. And I would also say our offerings, we are doing our very best to make sure that students have really solid curricular options to get them ready and successful in college, not just into college. We're kind of also thinking getting out of college. And I think that makes us really different from the other charters that just don't have that focus at all.
Yeah, that's a metric that a lot of families have started to pick up on recently. Not so much, okay, what are your statistics of getting kids into college, but what's the high school statistics of getting kids through college, right? Because it's one thing to prepare them to apply and get accepted. It's another to prepare them to succeed in college, in career, beyond. So that is you're right, a huge differentiator for iLead Exploration. So then the second half of that question, Laura, is what makes iLead Exploration different from, well, gosh, what I errantly call you guys all the time, a homeschool program? A family that files a PSA is homeschool. How are those two things different?
We're not a homeschool program. Let me just stress that we're independent study. And I can't
There you go.
say that enough when our kids want to talk about homeschooling. I'm like, yeah, you need to indicate that it's independent study because as an independent study student, we have fewer hoops, like
Oh,
in all aspects of it. So there's a lot of differences all the way from transitional kindergarten through high school, but I'm just high school side and I'm college side. So when you talk about the aspect that I work in, huge differences, and it's basically the level of support in terms of what the parent no longer has to do. And we have the ability to work directly with the student so the parent can take a step back. And so one of the things that we do is we like any traditional school, we supply the counselor letter. We have a what's called a school profile explaining our school. We do all these things. We provide the transcript. These are all things that traditional homeschoolers, and in California we call them those who file a PSA, private school affidavit. They have to do themselves. And so that's the first step. Is a lot of the burden is taken off the shoulders of the parent. Um, Secondly, there are fewer hoops because there sometimes colleges can be unfriendly and they add
hmm.
like an SAT that you have to take if you're a traditional homeschooler. The transcript has to have sometimes descriptions of courses. And by looking at, we're WASP accredited, we're an accredited school, even though we're independent study and have a homeschool style. But they see that and they don't have to question it. They don't have to put us in a different pile and verify things. So there's just a lot less stress, I think, when you're with us. Um, and we have a lot of success. It works.
I like that moniker, the independent study with a homeschool style. That'll keep me out of trouble, right?
Yes.
Because,
Yep.
like I said,
Exactly.
we are legally an independent study, but our families and like you said, even your learners will say, I'm homeschooled. No, you're not. But it's independent study with a homeschool style. Laura Kazan joins me this morning. She is the college advisor that is getting kids into that perfect fit college university at iLead Exploration. iLead's independent study with a homeschool style division. When we come back, we're going to talk to Laura. I want to talk about college acceptances because this is that time of year and the process that you're following with your students, and most importantly for those individuals, what kind of schools they're getting into and where they're going off to, what they're doing. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. This morning, we're talking to Laura Kazan. She is the college advisor with iLead Exploration, iLead's independent study with a homeschool flavor. There we go. We're rebranding right here on the air. And you know what? You would be blown away to hear about the level of service that Laura is providing to our independent studiers. Just doesn't roll off the tongue as well as homeschoolers, Laura. So, anyways,
Yeah, it's
go ahead.
messy.
Yeah. So, anyways, there are a lot of myths about homeschooling or independent study with the homeschool flavor. One of which is, you know, uh, sure, keeping your kids at home and doing school there is great, but it's tough to get into college that way. What are your thoughts on that? What are you seeing with your learners?
It's just wrong. I mean, like all alternative style education can get a student into college. It's not an issue whatsoever. And for us, we have really, really good results. In fact, I'm staring at a list of, I just counted them. I have an Excel spreadsheet, a list of 100 colleges that our learners have gotten into this year. Yesterday was the final day that colleges kind of make their announcements.
All right.
And I've been the data, and the kids have been checking in. And yeah, I've got a list of 100 different colleges in the United States that kids have gotten into this year.
Well, I was going to ask this question in a little bit, but now that you bring it up, Laura, let's not go through the entire list of 100 schools because that's just not great radio. But can you maybe pick and choose, throw a few out there that maybe our listeners would have heard of, and then maybe throw a few out there that perhaps aren't as well known, and maybe talk about. Well, I'm doing it again. I'm asking you 4 or 5 questions at a time. What are some of those kind of high register colleges that you see our kids are getting into?
So first of all, we're in California, and the favorite colleges are always the UCs and the CSUs.
There we go. She
And
went to UCLA.
yeah, so
She
like
liked
with
to
the
party.
UCs, we hit every single one this year. So we have a kid in at
Get out.
every single UC. Don't know if they'll go. Really weird this year. This was a really weird situation, and we had we had a 67% admission rate to UC San Diego this year. That's just weird.
Whoa.
But yeah, it was weird. They really liked us this year, and sometimes that happens.
67%.
We had that happen at UC Irvine a few years back, where we
Okay.
had like a 70% admission rate with our learners. But we have kids in everywhere. Berkeley came back yesterday with results. We have one into Berkeley as well.
Woohoo.
The CSUs, we always do well with CSUs. They like us. They like our kids. It's really weird. This year was also, every year we kind of have a theme of type of student. And this year was the year of the conservatory. I have at least, I think, 5 students applying to all levels of conservatory. These are musicians.
Okay.
All the way from we've had musicians in at USC, NYU, we've got Oberlin, we've got Conservatory of Music in San Francisco. So both the highly selective and the general, a little bit easier to get into conservatories, we've got them all because we've got international level musicians here because we're independent study and they need to practice during the day, so they come to us
I see.
for their education. Then they go to college. We have kind of divided into different types because one of the things that makes us kind of unique also is we're not in a specific location, so we don't get a certain flavor of family. We have families from 5 counties, and so we're sending kids to highly selective. We are sending kids to very religious. We're sending kids to very secular, everywhere, just everything, public, private, back east, next door. Specific questions about specific colleges, I'd say our most selective this year may have been Johns Hopkins. We had one get in there. We have 2 in at NYU, 1 early decision, already committed. We've got a bunch of the colleges that change lives, Agnes Scott, we've got Reed, we've got Evergreen. We've got everything, like everything.
Yeah, and I love that because I discovered this when my kids were in high school and we were starting to look at colleges and things like that. U.S. News and World Report and those different kind of publications, they always love to come out with the list of America's top 10 colleges every year and things like that. But there isn't one best college that everybody's trying to. Well, there are some schools that everybody's trying to get into, but it's more about finding the right fit school. Just like elementary and high school these days, you've got options because kids are different. So talk to us about your process a little bit, Laura. How do you help learners at iLead Exploration find that right fit college for them? Because if there's 3,000 colleges out there, that can be a little daunting.
Yeah, the first thing is to let them know that there's more than UCLA. Like everyone comes in and everyone wants to go to UCLA or UCI, depending on where they live. And there's this kind of lack of knowledge. One of the things I do, I have a course that I teach in 11th grade. It's open to anyone. You don't have to be a top student. You can be just getting any kind of grades and having any kind of goals. And it is all about the college process. It's not like a college prep type of thing where you're learning to take notes. I teach students about what's out there. I show them different styles of colleges. We do 8 weeks of financial aid. We learn about the UCCSUs, and then we apply. And so for a lot of kids, I've got about 40 kids in that class this year, rising seniors, current juniors. They come out with the idea that there are a lot of choices. You don't have to take that class to have access to me. I work with juniors, seniors, even sophomores really closely on the whole college process. I work with families on the finance aspects of it. I have a lot of just sitting down and talking to learners. It's independent study. They just make a Zoom appointment and come and talk to me for an hour. I have kids that talk to me once a week for an hour.
Oh, wow.
And so I can really kind of, I can really kind of figure out a learner and then give a lot of suggestions and have them do the research. And so, yeah, I just talk to them a lot. I get a chance to see them a lot.
Gosh,
I know them well.
It really is full wraparound service. Laura, I remember, I was a pretty good student in high school, and I remember my high school guidance counselor or college counselor. I don't remember, what his title was, but it was, probably early my senior year. I had to ask permission to leave class, of course, and then go down to his office and walk in. And I'm a senior at this point. I had to introduce myself to him and then say, "I'd like to go to college. What do I do, please?" And he and I chatted for about 45 minutes. And then I think I did a quick follow up a couple weeks later, and that was the extent of my interaction with him. You are like completely wrapping your arms around your high schoolers there at iLead Exploration, even though it's an independent study. These kids have, gosh, full access to you. You said you're available to meet with them once a week as they start this process, even as early as sophomores. Did I hear you right, Laura? You've got a class that your juniors are enrolling in to take them through and guide them through that college admissions process?
Yeah, it's actually really fun. It's asynchronous because it's online. It's through Zoom, but we meet. I've got 4 classes. I've divided them so I have small groups, and we meet once a week. We do projects together. If we just did a project where we used AI, that was kind of fun. But yeah, so I start them like really full service, and I want to express it's not just me because our 2 counselors are the ones writing the letters of recommendation. Unlike other public schools in the state of California, we have a ratio of 350 to 1 as opposed to 1,000 to 1.
Wow.
They meet the kids every year. They meet the kids more than once. They want to see this. This also differentiates us from the other independent study charters. Like when we hit a certain number, they're starting to hire another counselor because they want that personal attention. So they have me and they have their academic counselor both.
Oh, wow.
That's rare.
Yes, that's rare, not just for independent study. That's rare. That kind of a ratio is rare for any public
Yep.
school. That's incredible. And
Yeah.
good time for me to remind our listeners, charter means public, right? So, fun question, Laura. What's the tuition at iLead Exploration?
It's free, yet you get treated like a private school student.
Absolutely. So you were talking about the seminar, the class that your juniors are enrolled in to help them get into college, and you're meeting with them on a regular basis. I'm poking around the iLead Exploration website, iLeadExploration.org, and I'm noticing, Laura, are you guys offering? You've got a college. It looks like a college seminar, a webinar series on the iLead Exploration website. Can you talk about the webinar series?
Yeah, we actually have it on our YouTube page, so people can sneak in, look at it. But yeah, we do a year-long webinar series. I just named it College Information Series, not very exciting. But we cover a variety of topics. It's every first and third Friday for any learner and family. We get about 50-50, 50% learners, 50% families. They can come in. We do a quick presentation, and then we do a large Q&A that can last a long time where people can just ask questions. And we just have a different topic every week, and that's twice a month. And it's ranging from everything from how to fill out the application to what are the different deadlines to a full 4 different sessions on financial aid. We have holistic admissions. I do a case study. I'm actually doing a specialized one. It's not part of the series, but I'm doing one specifically for learners with disabilities who have IEPs or 504 plans and understanding the transition to college, the differences between being a special ed student in high school and then being an independent student in college. That's coming up. We're doing one because we're NCAA qualified now. We're doing one on sports. That's coming up. We've got a lot of just free informational stuff that anyone can drop into if they go to our school.
There you go. If your child is enrolled at iLead Exploration, again, iLeadExploration.org, completely free public charter school, independent study. Lori, I feel like you kind of just glossed over that NCAA approval. Because I know with your model of independent study, y'all are very popular with kids that are elite athletes that are ready to play at the next level. Can you just explain to our listeners, because I didn't know this until I became a high school principal, what that is? What is NCAA approval?
So for any student that wants to participate in college level sports at any of the three divisions, Division 1, 2, or 3, I lied, not Division 3. At Division 1 or Division 2, either of those, you have to go to a school that has approved NCAA courses. And you have to graduate from a school that has been approved by the NCAA. So this is not for Division 3, those small liberal arts colleges, but for Division 1, like UCLA, multiple Division 2s, you have to have certain classes, certain GPA. And one of the issues is that it's really easy to get a traditional school. The NCAA just kind of checks the box and says you're good to go. But our independent study schools, it's very problematic to get approved. And we got approved last summer. It took me a year. I was the one that was actually doing paperwork, and we have back and forth to try to explain our model, which was really difficult. And our school is different from other independent study charter schools because most independent study charter schools have a set group of courses, and it's usually an online, like an Apex or an Ingenuity online course that they got approved. And the students who might be athletes that want to play in college have to take those courses. I got our entire school approved. So it doesn't matter how you do your courses, where you do your courses, what curriculum you use for your courses. We're approved 100%. So an athlete that wants to attend a D1 or D2 school can do their education however they want with us, and their classes are approved.
That is beautiful. That's amazing because, like I said, that's one of the reasons that a lot of our families are attracted to the independent study model. So let's talk about a couple of other myths. I do know anytime I mention to my friends or family, oh yeah, our home study, no, our independent study with a homeschool flavor is just really blowing up. It's really popular. I see people that say to me, well, yeah, but what about socialization? Especially in high school, it's so important that kids are socializing, and if you pull them out of the brick and mortar school, then they're not going to get that. It's not true, is it, Laura?
No, that's not true at all. And this goes back to our homeschool model. So there's two aspects of this. And one is we're considered part of the homeschool community. And so a lot of our students, even though they're at a public charter school, will join into the community at large in these 5 counties. There's Homeschooling LA, there's the teens and tweens group. So they've got that group outside of the school. That's one aspect. But also our school provides an incredible amount of connection in a variety of ways. So we're strengthening this as time goes on. We've got, oh my gosh, got clubs coming out of our ears, and any student can create a club with five other learners and a teacher. And so now we've got everything from the baking club. We've got the creative writing club. We've got a Black Student Union. We've got an LGBT club. We've got Dungeons and Dragons club. So we've got all those activities, and they're synchronous through Zoom. So the kids are all over the state, the Southern California, and they find each other live that way. We've also got our ASB, our NHS groups, and NHS actually does in-person stuff. They do community service together. ASB, that's our student government. Mm-hmm. We have gaming, the game meets. A lot of it is online, but the kids touch base. And then we also do things like field studies, which is kind of a fancy name for field trips, where that's live. The students can come. I do college tours. That's live. We have families come and meet each other. They drive in from all over. Fullerton's coming up. We're doing Fullerton May 2nd. Mm-hmm. Just, in case anyone of my kids are listening, we're going to Fullerton.
All right.
And CSU Fullerton. And so we have just a lot of social opportunities that we are giving. We've got, we're just trying to build that even more, like listening to the learners to hear what they want and trying to provide it for them.
I love that. And then even like the what we might consider the less formal kind of social interactions. I follow you guys on social media, and I see that you guys do. You've got like park days and beach days, and one of my favorite things to do when I was in high school 100,000 years ago. I noticed your high schoolers had a meetup at In-N-Out not long ago. Your students are hanging out together. It's cool.
Yeah, and it was like 3 different In-N-Outs because we're in such a wide area. So we tried to make sure that we hit different counties for different learners. So we're not just focused in one area.
I love that. And you've touched on that a few times now, so I want to clarify that for folks that are listening. While we're authorized here locally, because you're independent study, you don't have to. Jen and I were talking about it this morning. You don't have to put your kid in the car in the morning and get him off to school. So talk to us about the 5 counties that you've mentioned. You've got learners at iLead Exploration that live where?
We've got kids at Joshua Tree. We've got kids at the beach. We've got kids at the mountain. So I think we cover, let's see if I can get this right. Orange County, Los Angeles County, Kern County, Ventura County, and San Bernardino County. Did I get that right?
That is correct. If you live in any one of those 5 counties, then you are qualified to enroll your child at iLead Exploration. Again, tuition-free public charter school. It is an independent study with the flavor of a homeschool. In fact, Laura said a lot of our families are joining those homeschool groups for socialization, for support, and just doing amazing things getting into that right fit college. Laura Kazan, college advisor to iLead's independent study with a homeschool flavor. Laura, you are an absolute rock star at iLead Exploration. I appreciate everything that you're doing for our kids and for their families. For more information on our innovative and completely customizable homeschool flavored independent study, I want you to go to iLeadExploration.org. Laura, thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy that tea. We'll talk to you soon. I am Matt Watson. You are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. Sorry for the little balk there. Something fun came through on my phone just now. I mentioned how big of a sports fan I am at the beginning of the show, and I'm a huge Dodger fan. I have been since I was a little boy, and one of my childhood heroes just texted me. I just got a
Who
text
might that
from
be?
I got a text from Steve Garvey.
Really?
I promise. Right here.
Is this an ongoing friendship, or is this just kind of
No,
out of
well,
left field? No pun intended.
I love it. It's not an ongoing friendship, although I feel like if I donate enough money to his campaign, we could become besties here real soon. That's at least what he's reaching out for.
Mm-hmm. Money always helps. Yeah. So I'm told.
Yeah, a little notification on my phone pops up. It's Steve Garvey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's his picture. Yes, it is.
Wow. That's
How
very
funny.
cool.
Yeah. For those of you who weren't aware, my childhood hero growing up, former Dodger, former San Diego Padre, Steve Garvey is running for office.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Interesting. And in fact, there's a couple of interesting things in the news here that really piqued my attention, piqued my interest. One of them, it seems like everybody's talking about, and so gosh, we should as well. And then the other one seems like nobody's talking about. And it was really interesting to me. It was something that I never really thought about. But then some friends, some new friends that I've made recently, got me wondering about it. And that is, the Associated Press is reporting that the U.S. is changing how it categorizes people. Right? The boxes that our government puts us in, they're changing how they categorize people by race and ethnicity. It's the first revision in how the government categorizes us in 27 years. Under the revisions, questions about race and ethnicity that our government asks us that previously were asked separately on forms will be combined into a single question. So that'll give respondents the option to pick multiple categories at the same time. So race and ethnicity at the same time, such as Black, American Indian, and Hispanic. Research has shown that large numbers of Hispanic people specifically aren't sure how to answer the race question when that question is asked separately because they understand race and ethnicity to be similar. So they often pick some other race, and that's in quotes. They'll pick other, right? Or they just skip the question altogether. And I think that's for multiple reasons. Yeah, it can be a confusing question, but then we're one of the only countries in the world that really asks so much
Really?
about your race and ethnicity. And then furthermore, there's been new categories added. A Middle Eastern and a North African category will be added to the choices available for questions about race and ethnicity. People descended from places such as Lebanon, Iran, Egypt, Syria had been previously encouraged to identify as white, but now will have the option of identifying themselves in the new group. Results from the 2020 census, which asks respondents to elaborate on their backgrounds, suggests that 3.5 million residents identify as Middle Eastern and North African. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with this per se, especially, in a census. It's important for people to be seen and recognized, represented. I also think it's important that we not be forced into a box. And so if this provides clarity, then that's important. But for that very reason, not pushing us in a box, I think sometimes our country can focus too much on this data. This is my opinion, and I want to know what y'all think. It seems like every time you turn around, you're being asked by the Census Bureau, sure, about your race and ethnicity. But do we need it on school forms? I mean, maybe there's funding attached to it. But does there need to be funding attached to what race or ethnicity you are? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's always a lot of labels.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be best just to let it be.
Do we need to identify our race and ethnicity when we're setting up our social media accounts or applying for a season pass at Magic Mountain or buying a hamburger?
Well, and that's where the marketing comes into play. Am I right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I was kind of half guessing that. I would assume that's how they figure out, okay, well, Jen is interested in X, Y, and Z, and this is her background, and this is what we assume she might have interest in.
And it's interesting.
Spend money on.
As I'm listening to Spotify or watching Netflix every now and then, I'll get a commercial that comes through in Spanish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because my stuff, I don't know, knows that I'm bilingual.
They know your background.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I never really thought about it too much, right? I would just check the box, or sometimes I would check decline to state or whatever, until about a year and a half ago. I mean, it's literally on almost everything that you fill out. But it was when some of our newer teachers on exchange at SCVi were filling out a lot of their rental applications, insurance forms, leasing documents for the car that they bought. For those of you who aren't aware, by the way, SCVi has a renowned Spanish dual language immersion program taught by local teachers in partnership with teachers that we've recruited and hired from Spain and from Mexico. And as they're filling out all these forms, they asked me, because I'm bilingual and I was supporting them, they asked me why race is so important to us here in the United States. And I get that we're a nation of immigrants, we really are, but nowadays, so are most other industrialized nations, right? A lot of, the European countries are, and even in Latin America, so much more cosmopolitan. But they don't collect all that data on everything. A couple of decades back, I lived for 5 years in Ecuador with my family. And while I was there, I applied for a visa. I applied for a national ID card, a driver's license, a work permit, permanent residence. I bought a car, a home. I even registered and voted when I was down there. And never once was I asked for my racial or ethnic identity. I was asked what country I was a citizen of, which country I was born in, but never my racial or ethnic identity. I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting, yeah. I didn't realize that. I thought everyone kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, no. And like I said, identity is very important, and but it's important that people feel seen, recognized, respected. But at what point does it become at worst divisive in our society, and at its best just superfluous and unnecessary,
Mhm.
and another tool with which we're marketed to.
Right.
So what do you think? Drop us a line in the Facebook Live feed, and if you're in the car listening on the radio, don't do that. Not right now, anyways. Wait till you get where you're going, and then pull up the KHTS Facebook feed. Scroll back until you find the Facebook Live feed on our show, Eye on the Valley, and drop it in the comments. So let us know what you think. The second one I won't expand on much because, yeah, like I said, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. Have you heard of her? She is just the absolute superstar basketball player for the University of Iowa. For the last few years, she's just been lighting the league on fire with her play, and I think it's really interesting. She's bringing more eyeballs to women's basketball,
Yeah.
women's athletics, and it's not just her. There's a good, half dozen, maybe dozen young ladies that are playing college basketball this year. Again, Sweet 16 starts tonight, and they are just lighting up the court, lighting up the ratings there on TV. So yeah, go sports ball. Go, Caitlin. Go, ladies. Check it out. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we will meet our city's new librarian. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Joining me now in the studio is Gina Roberson. Gina is the city librarian here in Santa Clarita. Her career began in public libraries in 2008 as a library assistant at the County of San Bernardino Public Libraries. In 2013, Gina joined us here at the Santa Clarita Public Library as a youth services librarian at the Canyon Country branch. In 2015, from March to June, she transitioned to the Simi Valley Public Library for a bit as an adult services librarian. But she returned to the Santa Clarita Public Library in June of 2015 as the Old Town Newhall branch manager. Later, she was named the Valencia Library Administrator, where her duties consisted of overseeing the day-to-day operations at that location, and she also coached and mentored the full-time staff there. But recently, when her colleague and work bestie, Shannon Vonnegut, took a position in another system, Gina was named Santa Clarita City Librarian. Gina, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in, and congratulations on the new position. So tell me what made you want to become a librarian in the first place, and then what's been your journey sort of to this new position? I know I just talked about it a little bit, but from your perspective, why did you become a librarian, and then tell us about the voyage.
Well, I grew up in public libraries, not in this county, but in a different county.
Hmm.
I was reading in the stacks as a tween. And when I was a teenager, I started volunteering to support the library's summer reading program.
Oh, nice.
During one of those summers, I realized that the public library really felt like home. The people were welcoming, the space was amazing, and it just was a good escape from school and other pressures, and immediately knew that I wanted to work there. When it was my turn to really join the workforce, though, there wasn't an opportunity. The stars just didn't align for me. So I took another job and didn't actually return to public library for like another 4 years.
Okay.
When I returned to public library, I took a position as a page for the county of San Bernardino
Okay.
and worked part time there. Within days, I knew that that's where I needed to stay.
Oh.
I was on track to go to law school. I was a political science major, had just
Oh.
graduated from UC Riverside, and within days, really decided this is where I need to be. This is how my life needs to play out. So I completely changed trajectory and decided to pursue my master's in library and information science. So from that part-time page position in a tiny library in San Bernardino County, just kind of never looked back. It was all library all the time. So, since then, I've really kind of traveled this journey of working in libraries. I've had many positions in many different
Yeah.
locations. I was the teen librarian in the Moore Park City Library. I was working here part-time just on the weekends
Hmm.
as a librarian for Saturday coverage. And then after about a year of that, was applied for and was offered a position in the Canyon Country Library also as a teen librarian. So that was just a really amazing time for me.
Uh-huh.
I got to know the community, I got to support local schools, just really kind of connected with what the needs were in Santa Clarita.
Mhm.
And then from there, I did work in Simi Valley for a brief period of time as the head of adult services before I returned to Santa Clarita as then it was a branch manager, which is currently our library administrator position.
Well, fantastic. Gosh, kind of an interesting dichotomy. Am I going to be senator or am I going to be a librarian? You brought up how welcoming the staff always was, and that's one of the things I've always noticed. Growing up here in Santa Clarita and spending a lot of time at the libraries, everybody is just so wonderful. Seems to love what they do. Seems to love the folks that come in. I don't know that I've ever been grumbled at when I'm at the library. Is there a reason for that? Is it just such an amazing place to work, or?
Well, I think when I fell in love with libraries, it wasn't really about reading for me. I was a reader and I enjoyed reading, but it really was about place. It was about the feel of the library and the
Yeah.
welcoming people at the library and just the ability to kind of source my own information and make my own decisions. I think every teenager is trying to
Mm,
to find that autonomy in how do I make my own decisions, and the library was really there as a space for me to explore those opportunities. I think libraries, as they stand now, are really, just hubs of information and support and resources. Our libraries really aim to provide kind of a lifelong learning experience
mhm.
for users, but also it's every day just connecting people with what they need. That's the satisfaction. All of our staff get satisfaction from helping you where you are with what you need. So whether that's finding you a local resource or just connecting you with a
Yeah.
top title, it all flows really nicely into what our mission statement is and kind of the work we do every day.
Sure, and it's got to be so rewarding. So, Gina, I love that you do this every year. I want to talk about kind of one of your seminal events at the library. You guys do so much. We'll get into all of that. But I think one of my favorites is the one story, one city, and y'all are kind of in full swing now. Can you tell our listeners what one story, one city is if they haven't heard of it, and then are people able to get involved, or do you kind of have to start from the beginning?
So annually, we host One Story, One City, which is a citywide celebration and conversation about one book. So this year's book was actually The Woman in the Costello by Kelsey James. Kelsey James was actually here last week
Oh,
in
wow.
Santa Clarita to talk
How
about her
exciting.
book. But we also hosted Italian Cinema Day at the Lemley Theater. And it really is just about sparking opportunity to experience something else as a group. So a shared experience for the community. We had multiple book club discussions,
Okay.
themed crafts, and it's not too late. There's only a few days left in March, but you
Okay.
can still participate in the murder scavenger hunt.
Oh,
It's a murder mystery
I love it.
at the Valencia Branch Library, or
Mhm.
even tomorrow, there is Italian cinema at the branch as well. So at 1 p.m., Valencia Library, you can join us for some Italian cinema to kind of close out our celebration of all things 1968 Rome.
Oh, I love that. That's what a great book for this type of activity. It's kind of like the city's largest book club, but then you
Yes.
also it's not just the book club stuff. You do have plenty, I'm sure, of talking about thoughts on the book and things like that, but then also these great activities. I remember, I think it was a year or two ago, there was a book that was a little bit more about the outdoors, and so y'all were taking hikes and things like that. It was fantastic. So how do y'all decide which book you're going to read each year? Is that something that, as the city librarian, you get the ultimate power and you get to decide?
We actually have a committee. We have a
Oh,
committee made up of our professional staff. We do also have some community stakeholders that are involved in that decision making
okay.
process as well. So, if you serve adults in the valley, we partner with some members from the COC library,
Oh,
some
okay.
folks from our arts and events team, the Salvation Army.
Oh,
So we
great.
do get some feedback after our professional staff has kind of paired out a list that
Okay.
goes to some community stakeholders, and then we ultimately make a decision on what book we think will spark interest. We do fluctuate between nonfiction and fiction
Okay.
titles. This year it was all about an actress and a crumbling castle and a mystery and a disappearance.
Oh,
So all of our programming was themed as such.
That is really cool. And you mentioned seems obvious to me geared towards adults, but do you get any younger folks, maybe teenagers, tweens that get involved in this as well?
So, One Story, One City is our annual adult event. And
Okay.
due to the nature of the adult reading, it is recommended for those that are 18 or older.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. So that's the one story, one city event, and folks can still get on board, and of course, even after March, it's a great book to read, and
Yeah, and
so
that book is available online or in the
oh,
branches. Even after One Story, One City, people will be able to access it and still kind of join the community conversation about the text.
and that's something that I discovered kind of the virtual offerings that our libraries have. I discovered that during the pandemic. Obviously, libraries shut down, and I thought, oh gosh, bummer, no libraries for until the pandemic's over. But that was not true at all. Y'all went. I don't know. Did y'all explode, or had you always been doing these things and I was just hearing about it? Tell us about what you guys did during the pandemic.
Well, immediately we identified that we needed to continue services to our youngest community, right?
Sure.
So story times went online almost immediately after we closed our physical
Hmm.
buildings. And from there, it really was how do we figure out what our next step is to provide service to the community? We know that people relied on us for information, for
Yeah.
access to materials. And so shortly after that, we developed our curbside pickup program. But 24/7, our e-library is open, and as long as you have a Santa Clarita Public Library card, you can access our ebooks and e-audiobooks, digital magazines, streaming music. There's just so much stuff that's there. During the pandemic, we definitely noticed that the number of users we had for our e-materials
Hmm.
did rise,
Yeah.
and it really has stuck that way. It did not go back down after we opened our physical doors. So although our physical circulation is still doing very well.
Oh,
The
great.
number of people who have latched on to our ebooks and e-audiobooks really has stayed consistent since then.
I love that. So you had a huge growth in usership. That is wonderful. I remember one of the things that was really valuable because parents especially were really stressing out during the pandemic because the call was I don't know how to homeschool my kid. And I know you were providing things like homework support and tutoring that families just fell in love with. Are y'all still providing those services as well?
Absolutely. So, Help Now is a program that we offer through our e-library. It's free with your library card,
Love that.
and you can log on and access free live tutors. That you do have a shared whiteboard space. You can exchange documents if you need writing help. But it really is a great asset for parents or families who can't access traditional tutoring services, whether it's cost prohibitive or time prohibitive. They can log in to Help Now and access those tutors for anyone from K to college.
That's fantastic. So anywhere from K to college. So you've got all kinds of support for families, for kids. You have the one story or one city, one story,
It's
one
One
story,
story,
one.
one city.
I always one story, one city for the adults. But let's talk about a demographic that's really important. The kind of the tweens, right? Those kids that are kind of breaking away from childhood and becoming teenagers. You've got quite a bit of tween programming. Talk to us about how that's developed.
Yeah, so kids programming, teen programming, and adult programming, they're constant in the library. One thing that we've really tried to be intentional about is designing programs that are appealing to both, some school age kids and some tweens, or
Mhm.
some teens and some tweens. So, one of the most popular by far is Library Eats Hot or Not, where they take viral recipes and test them out to see, like, are they hot or are they not?
Okay.
So,
Meaning delicious or not so much.
right, right.
Okay.
Not everything you see on the internet is as great as it seems, right? So
Okay.
they're putting it to the test. Another
All
one that we
right.
have is Science Explorers. So Science Explorers is one it's really school age and tweens. So there's some
Okay.
challenging subjects, science concepts that are presented through fun activities, through exploration with our robot collection, through applications that we have available through our makerspace. So that's really kind of a bridge program. We always want to try and help get those teens that are not as active in the library to identify with a program that really speaks to them and where they're at, and carry those kids that when school age are huge participants in library programs and library services, to get them to the teen phase while still maintaining that they are, strong library users. And the way that we've done that is really to kind of elevate the level of programming that we're offering, make it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more
Mm.
challenging, so that we can stretch them through till they get to the teen programs where all things are, hot or not.
Absolutely love it. So y'all have got something for everybody. In fact, you've got multiple somethings for people of all ages, backgrounds, whatever it is that folks are interested in. It's not just go pick up a book, take it home, read it, and bring it back. Although you've got, just about everything anybody could want to read. Um, but so many different services. And you mentioned everything's accessible as long as you have a library card. And I remember this always being an issue when I was a kid, when it was time to go to the library. I lost my library card. And folks are listening. We're going to talk about in just a few minutes all of the other things that you're offering. But what if I don't have my library card? Either I never got one or I lost one. How can folks get a library card?
Yeah, so library cards through the Santa Clarita Public Library are free to any resident of California. So if you already had a library card, maybe you don't know where it is, or you're not sure if you've ever had one with us before, you can just stop by a library branch and it's pretty quick and easy to replace it. We can look you up, see if you have one. If you haven't had one, though, you can actually pre register online on our website at santaclaritalibrary.com and then come into the branch to just pick up your physical card.
Perfect. Perfect. And it's super easy. SantaClaritaLibrary.com. Fantastic. Gina Roberson is joining us from the City of Santa Clarita Library. She is actually the Santa Clarita City Librarian, and they've got so much going on. And I feel like we've just scratched the surface, Gina. They're a great follow on social media as well. They've got something for everyone to get excited about. We'll talk more about it when we get back. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. Joining me this morning is Gina Roberson, Santa Clarita City Librarian. Gina, we were talking before the break, and I mentioned you guys are a great follow on social media. I love all the different things that come up, whether they're events or just things that you're publicizing, the different things that all your staff is doing. So I'm old. I follow you on Facebook, but where else are you? What's your social media footprint?
The two best places to follow the library are really on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram has some great sneak peek content
Okay.
about what programs are coming up. And there's also some really fun videos of staff, pushing library information in a template that is really popular at the moment, of course.
Yeah, I love it. And you've got some very, musically talented, artistically talented staff members there that are showing off a little bit and entertaining folks. I was looking the other day and I noticed you have a Spanish conversation club. This is something that I want to get involved in. Can you tell us a little bit about, again, something that I would have never thought to go to the public library for? Tell us what goes on at the Spanish Conversation Club.
So the Spanish Conversation Club was actually born out of the English Conversation Club.
Ah,
So we have an ongoing volunteer-led English Conversation Club where
okay.
folks can join us to practice their English in a
Mhm.
very casual, kind of laid back setting. And it was so wildly popular, but feedback from the community was that folks also wanted a space to practice their Spanish
Yeah.
skills. So out of that, we now have 2 times a month a Spanish Conversation Club where the community can join our lead volunteers to have casual Spanish conversation to get more comfortable with the language or just to practice and maybe improve on some skills that they already have.
I love that because, yeah, you're never going to pick up a language by doing it once or twice a week, right? I know this for a fact. I minored myself in Spanish when I was in college, and I was good in class, and I could, I could say that Juan es alto and things like that, but I didn't become fluent until I started using it on a regular basis. Um, really developed it over a few decades. But now that I'm not using it as much as I used to, I'm starting to get weak. And I noticed I was translating the other night. and I'm not as strong as I should be. So it's a great opportunity for me to get out there and kind of build that muscle up. I love that you guys are doing that, and didn't realize you were doing it in English as well. Perfect. So you've also got I can learn martial arts at the library. You've got jujitsu. That's a hard one to say.
Right. So this is kind of the beauty of public libraries and their events is that we offer a wide range of events like self-defense jiu-jitsu
Hmm.
so that our community can really try on what it is that they're interested in a free environment. So we also have, classes on how to work a cricket, and we provide the machines and all of the supplies for you to learn how to do a simple project. If that's something that you want to deep dive into, then you've already had a little bit of a lesson in how those things work. We have sewing machines in our makerspace that people are, joining us to make reusable napkins to stretch themselves just a little bit to grow in a new hobby or interest. And it's all free. So that's kind of why we design programming is to expand accessibility and encourage lifelong learning.
Yeah, I love that. And gosh, you talk about being nimble and continually staying relevant. Y'all aren't just relevant; you're on that cutting edge of gosh, just about everything anybody could need. Gina, the guest that we had prior to you, Laura Kazan, she's the college advisor for our independent study with a homeschool flavor program at iLead, and I know you have a lot of a lot of great services catered toward homeschool families. Can you talk about some of the events, some of the different things that you do with and for homeschool families?
Yeah, in 2020 we identified that that was an area that the library wanted to really improve was our support of homeschool families. Coming out of the pandemic, it just became even more crucial that we best supported folks who decided to stay online for one reason or another. And that
Yeah.
really started with developing a collection that was reflective of the needs of existing curriculum. So we really put some effort into developing a children's classics section that is responsive to the needs of homeschool curriculum with input from homeschool families. We now also host a homeschool resource room at the Canyon Country Library that provides a space for homeschooling families to come together and have larger events like science fairs or do presentations with a librarian who's also there to support their research needs, to provide story time for our younger folks, and it just really has become a good partnership and a way for the library to be responsive to the needs of our ever changing community.
Fantastic. And you're right. That I've noticed since the pandemic that homeschool community really has diversified, right? I remember as our homeschool was really growing, again, not homeschool, independent study, but um, there was a few kind of large communities that came together to become homeschool families. But after the pandemic, it really spread out. And there were a lot of families that would have identified themselves prior to the pandemic as, oh, no, I could never do that, that are now doing it. And you're providing tremendous support. I love that. Thank you so much. Now, Gina, you've mentioned a couple times the online or the digital library. You provide a bunch of services online for families. Can you talk about how someone accesses the digital library and what different services are available online for folks?
Yeah, so our e-library, like I said, is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can access it just from the homepage of our library website. You're going to click on e-library, and that will take
Hmm.
you to kind of a map of everything that's available. And what is available is academic resources, research tools. We also have streaming videos, downloadable music, digital magazines, and of course, ebooks and e-audiobooks. For access to most of those, you simply log in with your library card number and your
Hmm.
PIN. For some, you will have to create an account. One of those is our language learning service. So we do offer a service called Pronunciator, and it will walk you through over 80 different languages that you can choose from to kind of start from beginner all the way through advanced.
Fantastic. And then you've got like y'all are just as strong as Netflix. You stream movies and things like that, don't you?
Yeah, we do have streaming video available, and the downloadable music is definitely something not to miss.
Fantastic. Um, so what's next? Well, actually, let me back up and I'm going to quiz you real quick. Please forgive me. You've got a number of locations here in Santa Clarita that you operate, that you're responsible for. Tell our listeners where your physical locations are in addition to the online library.
Yeah, so we have our Joanne Darcy Canyon Country Library,
Hmm.
and that is out on Shangri-La. And so that location actually is right next to the new Canyon Country Community Center. So
There
they
you
have
go.
been a great partner for us,
Oh, great.
extending our reach into that community. We also have our Valencia Branch Library, which is
Hmm.
right there on Magic Mountain in Valencia. And that location, actually, we do a ton of children's programming, very, very responsive community to the needs of our earliest readers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have our Old Town New Hall Library here, kind of at the end of Main Street,
Yeah.
a little anchor to the arts and culture area.
Yeah, yeah, all three of them beautiful locations. So what's next? What plans have you got in the works? Whether it's programming coming up for the spring and summer, or any big plans you've got in the little bit more distant future.
So, the most exciting, the absolutely most exciting thing that's coming is our mobile library. So, we are expecting to launch our mobile library in 2025, and it is actually a repurposed Santa Clarita Go bus. So, if
Okay.
you've seen the Go bus around
Yeah.
town, you will soon be seeing the mobile library solution out and about in the community.
Okay.
This is actually going to allow us to expand our current outreach. So, currently, we do pop up library services at daycare centers,
Oh, great.
preschools, community centers, senior living facilities. And this will actually aid in our ability to expand that programming and bring more diverse collections, more varied tools to teach courses. So we're really excited about that. Like I said, we should expect it in 2025. And it's going to be something that really allows us to meet people where they are in the community. We are not geographically separated very far anywhere in the city,
Sure.
but sometimes you're just not a part of people's routine. There's not space in working families' day to make it to the library. And so our preschool program really was born out of the idea that we needed to support working families.
Yeah.
If they couldn't come to us, we were going to go where they were.
I love that.
And so this is just an extension of that.
I love that. That's fantastic. So I tell you what, I've already hit you with a couple of curveballs this morning, and you've handled them like a pro. So let me hit you with another one. As city librarian, what's something that might surprise our listeners? What goes on? What do you handle on a daily basis that someone might not think of? What's the most kind of surprising thing about your job?
Yeah, so the library, like I said, is really about space and place. What it means to the community to be a community hub. There's a diverse range of needs. So I think what shocks people most is that librarians don't just answer academic research questions, that we really are in the thick of teaching people basic computer literacy,
Uh huh.
that we are helping people who need to find jobs, that we are teaching folks to read, that we're teaching them to speak English or speak
Hmm.
Spanish. It's really just this dynamic group of skills that our staff use every day to meet the needs of the community that are ever changing,
Yeah.
right? So every phase of growth in the community is a phase of growth in the library. So my job really is motivating our staff to stay on top of what's
Hmm.
coming next, to be responsive, to really meet people where their needs are, and that can be very challenging.
Sure. Sure, kind of that coach that's kind of making it all happen. I love that. You mentioned the mobile library. Very excited for that. That's coming in 2025. You mentioned you're going to be using that mobile library to serve preschools and our littles and teaching kids to read. That is great. Let's talk about the other end of the age spectrum, seniors. What services have you got? Is the mobile library as well available? I don't know, to go out to the senior center or something like that.
Yeah, so currently we partner with several senior living facilities and we visit them on a regular basis. We bring
Great.
materials, sometimes those are DVD materials,
Hmm.
audiobook, large print books. We do accept requests from residents since they can't physically make it into the library.
Okay.
We bring the library to them. We call that one of our pop up library locations.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, we are also providing kind of simple crafts or activities that have been requested from residents, just as a supplement to our current programming schedule. But it really is rewarding to go out to a facility
Yeah.
and know that we're bringing something. Some of our residents say, I love to read before I came here, and now I can't go to the library anymore.
Mm.
So I really appreciate you bringing the library to me because I get to continue to do something that I really like, even though my life has changed a lot.
I love it that you're really just kind of wrapping your arms around providing just a tremendous amount of service, and if folks can't get to you, you're getting to them, whether it's via the digital library online or the pop-up library, and bringing materials to folks. There's so much going on. We've talked about it already. Is there anything else I'm missing? Anything that folks should know about the Santa Clarita Library?
Yeah, so one of our most exciting initiatives is that we are working on getting the community more involved in our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. And
Oh,
it's actually an app based challenge that parents can sign up for either in the library or on our website. And it is kind of a pledge to read 1,000 books with your child before they enter kindergarten. And it's been proven that they'll be more prepared for kindergarten because they've been exposed to all of these early literacy experiences. So we have a couple of children in our community who have already completed their 1,000 books, but we have lots of others who have yet to sign up or who have signed up and are working towards their goal of reading 1,000 books with their family before kindergarten. We also have supplemental materials that really demonstrates to parents and new parents what early literacy activities really look like. Sometimes it's a conversation, sometimes it is pointing out colors or themes
oh.
to your child. And so it provides a guide to how to do that on a daily basis to just encourage your child to not only speak, but to later read.
We're so fortunate to have such an amazing resource in our community as the Santa Clarita Library, and yourself and your staff. I said it before, your team is just so amazing, so welcoming, regardless of what folks need or experience is. Gina Roberson, Santa Clarita City Librarian, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And follow the City Library on social media. Check them out at on their website as well. Again, santaclaritalibrary.com. That's santaclaritalibrary.com. Gina, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Don't go nowhere. When we get back, it is Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. This is SCVi, and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi, and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. And now, it is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is an executive and a philanthropist. He's a busy guy around the office. He is an amazing father, husband, and community leader. He's a world traveler. But we're still trying to decide if Big T is the weakest link or the missing link. We're not sure. But anyways, here he is. He's mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Hey, Maddie, what's up?
Doing well, doing well. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, thank you. I think I'm the missing link. I've been missing since June.
Yes, you have. I've been missing you.
Yep.
All right, Big T. We've got engineer Andrew here in the studio. Say
Good
hello.
morning. Hello.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great.
And then, of course, we've always got the lovely engineer Jen.
Good morning.
All right, Big T. What have you got
Good
for
morning.
us?
Well, I love the segment with the librarian, Maddie. I thought it was really great. Just a little bit of a fun fact. Did you know that it's illegal to yell fire in a crowded library?
Yeah, I think actually that's in our Constitution, isn't it?
Yeah. You have to whisper it to each person individually.
All righty.
No, that's not
Don't make
right.
them up, Alec.
There we go. There we go. T, I know you're about as probably a bigger sports fan than I am. How amazing is this time of year? We got Major League Baseball starting up yesterday. We've got college basketball, March Madness in full swing, and the women are really taking over this year. I think they've got as many eyes on the women's tournament as the men's.
Yeah, it's a fun time, Maddie. We got college basketball, we got baseball, we got the birds and bees doing what they're doing in springtime. It's a great time to be alive.
Careful, T. It's a family show.
I understand.
All right, you got some trivia for us, Tony?
I do.
All right, fantastic. So here's what we're going to do. I want to lay it out for our listeners. Sorry to step on you there. So we've got our buzzers. So what we're going to do is we're going to shout out our name if we know an answer, and then wait to be recognized, and then chime in with our answers. But if you're playing along at home, you can get the drop on us. You don't have to shout out your name. Just call out the answer. See if you can beat us. But Andrew, Jen, and we're pretty good. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. Big T, let's do this.
Perfect. So let's stick with that library theme.
All right.
What's the world's largest library?
Frogger.
That'd
be the Library of Congress.
That is correct. Nice poll.
It was either that or the Library at Alexandria, but that was lost a long time ago.
Yes, sir. What's the best-selling book of all time?
Andrew.
Do it.
I think I got Andrew first.
The Bible?
The Bible's correct.
There we go.
How many points does the Star of David have?
Frogger. 6.
6 is correct. Frogger, this is right up your alley. Hand on your buzzer. What actor played Ken in the 2023 movie Barbie?
Andrew.
That's yeah, okay.
Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling is correct. Who's Barbie's little sister?
Jen.
Oh,
Jen.
Skipper.
Skipper's correct.
little Skipper.
In the United Kingdom, what's the day after Christmas known as?
Frogger.
Jen.
Oh, Andrew.
Frogger.
That's Boxing Day.
Yeah. Why do they get
Fight
so
for the
excited
gifts.
for that?
Say what now?
Why do they get so excited for that?
Well, it's a certain segment of society, I think, that gets excited for it. That's the day that kind of the service personnel and the well, I guess landowners or whoever employs them, they switch roles, right?
Oh.
And now the servers become the served.
Mm.
So that's the idea behind Boxing Day. Has nothing to do with pugilism.
I get it. And just fun fact for the show, the day after Christmas for Frogger, that's the day that he takes back the ties and coffee mugs he got and buys some new tidy whities.
There you go.
Thank you for that
All right.
visual.
Right, there we go. Jen's staring across the counter at me.
That one's free of charge, Jen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Which month of the year is National Ice Cream Month?
Jen.
Jen.
July.
July is correct.
Hey, good
Yeah,
guess.
you gotta
Good
go with the
guess.
summer month.
Would be weird if it was December.
Yeah.
Right. Steve Carell plays what memorable character in the TV series The Office?
Jen.
Oh,
Jen.
Michael Scott.
Michael Scott is correct. In the 1988 movie Mystic Pizza launched the career of what pretty
Jen.
woman?
And
Jen.
Okay.
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts is correct. Jen's on a roll.
yeah, she is.
For now.
Whitney Houston had a top hit in 1992 with which Dolly Parton song?
Frogger.
Jen.
Frogger.
I will always love you.
I'll always love you too, Frogger.
All right. Heart.
Anna, Elsa Kristoff, and Olaf are all characters in
Andrew.
what animated movie?
This is his favorite movie.
Frozen is correct. What 1997 movie features Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones as
Andrew.
undercover secret agent?
Ooh.
Andrew.
Men in Black.
Men in Black is correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are tied at 4. We got a tight one.
Ooh.
Ooh. What TV series did actor Tom Hanks co-star with Peter Scolari
Jen.
in the early 1980s? Jen.
Oh,
Bosom Buddies.
Bosom Buddies is correct.
Jen, I didn't think you were that old.
I am that old.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I knew that one.
Before
good
her
one.
solo career, Beyonce was part of what R&B
Andrew.
group?
Oh,
Destiny's Child.
Andrew. Destiny's Child is correct. What actor played Alex Keaton in the 80s TV
Jen.
show Family Ties?
that would be Michael J. Fox.
That is correct. Are we back tied again?
We are back tied at 5. Anybody on a middle initial for Alex Keaton?
Jay?
Alex P. Keaton.
Boom.
Oh,
Right?
Well done.
Is she get a point for that?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll take a half point. How's
All right.
that?
Sounds good.
I'll be fair.
What Andrew Lloyd Webber Broadway show features the characters Mistopheles and
Jen.
Old Deuteronomy?
Jen. That is Cats.
That is Pat. That is correct.
Meow.
What's the name of Elvis Presley's Memphis home?
Frogger.
Jen.
Frogger.
Oh, Graceland, baby.
You got it, baby. Michael Flatley danced his way to fame in what
Frogger.
Irish-inspired dress? Frogger.
Lord of the Dance.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Jen.
Jen.
Riverdance.
Ah,
Riverdance. Correct. Nice poll.
Hey.
how dare me.
What 1994 Quentin Tarantino movie stars John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson? Frogger.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction is correct. You had to think about that for a minute, huh?
I did.
What actor-comedian found fame in the TV show Mork and Mindy?
Jen.
Andrew.
Jen.
Robin Williams.
Jen's on point with her 80s stuff.
She's
I know.
on fire.
I'm a child of the 80s.
Yes.
According to Instacart, what's the most disliked food in America?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Pickled herring.
Wow.
Mom's probably not listening this morning. No, incorrect.
Like specific?
So no points for Frogger, but I'll throw it out there. It's like eating eyebrows.
Oh,
Ew.
I got it.
No. What?
Eating eyebrows.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Frogger.
It's anchovies.
Oh.
No point. No point for me. That was an old Larry Holmes.
Oh,
I
okay.
like eggs,
So we get
No, I
but
Well,
I don't
I'm-
like anchovies. Them's like eating eyebrows.
I'm old enough for the 80s. That's
Yeah.
about where my my knowledge stops.
The line "Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries" is from what 1975
Frogger.
movie? Frogger.
Monty Python's The Holy Grail.
That is correct.
Yes.
What's popular condiment was once sold as medicinal cure for diarrhea?
Andrew. I have no idea.
Andrew.
Mayonnaise.
Incorrect, but close.
Mayonnaise, some weird mayonnaise. Frogger. Mustard. Ouch.
Incorrect. Jen?
Ketchup.
Ketchup is correct.
Hey, there you go. That should be a half point, to be fair.
Here's another one. Here's another one free of charge from Big T. Next time you're squirting out some of that ketchup from one of those bottles, you think of what it was a medicinal cure for.
Nope.
Ugh,
Oh, there goes that.
You might have ruined that
There
too.
goes that.
Oh, boy.
Which country is the largest in the world?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Russia.
Russia's correct. What's the only food that can never go bad?
Andrew.
Amber.
Honey
Oh, that's right.
Honey's correct. Nice pull.
/ Twinkie.
Slash
Yeah.
Twinkie.
What was that?
He said also Twinkies.
That is true. I've never seen one go bad.
It's because none of them ever sit on your shelf long enough.
They never last that long. What was the first animal to ever be cloned?
Andrew.
Jen.
Andrew.
Sheep.
Sheep is correct.
Dolly.
Oh, there we go. Giving you a half point for
There you
knowing
go.
Dolly's name.
Ah, nice. What's the name of the pet dinosaur on the TV cartoon The Flintstones?
Andrew.
Oh,
Andrew.
Dino.
Dino is correct. Who's considered the father of relativity?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Einstein.
That is correct. Eddie Falco and James Gandolfino star in what
Andrew.
TV series? Andrew.
The Sopranos.
Care to correct him on that
I,
name?
I guess- yeah, I don't know what James
I saved you there.
Gandolfino's in, but
See, I try to let it slide.
Okay. It's not how Frogger rolls.
Nearly all fossils are preserved in what type of rock?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Sedimentary.
It's
Sedimentary
the
is
only rock I
correct.
knew.
There we go. All right.
Staying with rocks, what guitarist notably performed on Michael Jackson's song "Beat It"?
Jen. Oh, I should know this. Oh my gosh, not Slash. Is it Slash?
It is not Slash. Frogger. Anybody?
Frogger. Is it Eddie Van Halen?
Eddie Van Halen is correct.
Yeah.
Boom.
What is Prince Harry's official first name?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Harry?
Harold, maybe.
Incorrect.
Like,
Anybody?
Jen. Harold.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Nothing.
It does start with an H.
Nope.
Henderson.
Henry.
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 Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Which branch of the U.S. Armed Forces uses the slogan, "It's not just a job, it's an adventure"?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I'm going with the Marines.
Incorrect.
Andrew, Coast Guard?
Incorrect.
Ah.
Jen, they're leaving you.
There's only a couple left.
The Army.
It is incorrect. It is the Navy.
That was going to be our next guess.
Okay.
We were getting there.
I was hoping it was the Space Force.
All right, Frogger, I got two more.
Okay.
What's an 8-sided shape called?
Frogger. Go ahead.
Frogger.
No, it was a tie. I'm giving it to him.
The octagon. An octagon.
Octagon is correct. Last one. By U.S. law, exit signs must be one of what two colors?
Andrew.
Oh.
Andrew.
White or green?
Incorrect.
Oh. That's what I was going with. Frogger.
Frogger.
Red or green?
Red or green is correct.
Oh,
Interesting. Why are so many white exit signs white?
I've never
then?
seen a red exit sign.
No, that's
Huh.
weird.
I've seen it in red.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. So that's what you got for us, Big T. I appreciate it. Taking a look at the scores, I've got. We did well today. We got a ton of them right. Well, Big T had a lot of runway there. So I've got 13. Andrew 10.5.
Oh.
Jen 9.5. Well, I kind of pulled away there at the end, but good showing. Good showing. You know, we were talking earlier about Caitlin Clark. Let me see if I can throw these in as trivia questions. Big T, you good or you got to run?
I've got about a minute or two.
All right, cool. So let's see. We talked about Caitlin Clark. She is a huge basketball star at the University of Iowa. She's already having like major feature articles and documentaries written about her. And she's already made. Okay, so here it is. There's a trivia question. To the nearest, I don't know, whatever. How much money has Caitlin Clark made as a college athlete?
I'm going to say $7 million.
Tony, Jen?
I'll say $5.5 million.
I'll say $4 million.
Jen takes it. She's made just over $3 million.
Wow.
Just this week on Wednesday, she received an offer to play in the Big Three basketball league. What was the offer that she was given?
That was 1 year, $5 million.
1 year, $5 million. And Engineer Andrew, you actually came in the studio with a fun fact about that dollar figure.
Yeah. So, by all accounts, if she goes to the WNBA, she's going to go to the Indiana Fever, and their whole salary for everybody combined on that team is, I believe it's $1.7, $1.8 million for the whole team, whole team salary.
And so she was offered about 3 times that to play in the Big Three basketball league. That is a professional 3-on-3 basketball league founded by what entertainer?
Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Ice Cube. Good pull, Big T.
Hey.
Yep. And just yesterday, Caitlin Clark was named to the USA basketball women's national team training camp roster, one of 14 players named to be a potential Olympian.
Fun fact: the only collegiate player
The only
to
collegiate
get offered to training camp.
that I did not know. She's really blowing it up. As a matter of fact, she recently, just a couple of weeks ago, broke the all-time scoring record for college basketball players. And I don't mean women college basketball players. She broke that record last year. This year, she broke Pistol Pete Maravich's all-time college scoring record set back in 1970. Incredible. All right, Big T, thanks for swinging by. We do have to go.
Daddy?
Yep.
Pete Maravich did it in 3 years, not 4 years, and he did it in the era of a shot clock and no three-point line. Come on now.
And Laura Kazan, our college advisor with iLead's home study division, iLead Exploration, joined us this morning, as did Gina Roberson, for a city librarian for the city of Santa Clarita. Thank you, producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Jen, Big T. Thank you for listening. Join us each and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.